well, anyways, welcome to my stream. My name's Lumini. I sometimes speedrun Monster Hunter, and if you haven't been keeping up with my antics on Twitter, I have been on a journey to collect every single sword and shield in this fucking game. And yes, including, oh yeah, and not just collect, but also fully upgrade. And yes, this is fully upgraded. Unfortunately, Tarnished Sword, it doesn't get any better than this initial version right here. But yeah, all 125 sword and shields. God damn. It's been a very, very long journey. And definitely not very fun at times. I think the least fun I've had came to this fucking sword and shield right here. Just because the only way to get the Teostra's medal is to essentially have a worn sword and shield fall into your lap. And of course, in total for this completion journey, you need 3 worn sword and shields. 1 to fully upgrade the worn sword and shield one. 2 to upgrade, I think it was which one is it? Divine Aggression. No, it wasn't Divine Aggression. It was the, what the fuck is it? It was like the dragon version that's got ridiculous dragon, but like really shitty raw. Well, anyways, oh wait, I could just probably find out at the smithy, but you know what, whatever. But you need at least 3 of those. Oh yeah, and of course 1 for Teostra's medal. And if you can imagine, take a look at this. I got fucking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 worn fucking long swords in the process, as well as, let's see, oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 worn hammers, 3 worn lances. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 fucking worn gun lances, 4 worn switch axes, 8 worn charge blades, and 1, 2, 3, at least 3 worn bows, but then the rest of it was like Arca Raptora, and then of course the other various bow guns and shit. For whatever reason, I don't think this game is the biggest fan of sword and shields. Oh, and I should mention, that's right, and a full handful of worn dual blades too. So I guess if I were to ever go from Monster Hunter Rise and decide to chill out in GU, well, I guess I have other goals to go for now. Okay, now I want to kind of talk about the journey with each of these sword and shields, how difficult they were, how memorable they were, if they were memorable at all, and whatnot. So Philosopher Sword, honestly, that one's easy peasy. They're like, some of these, it just was not much of a journey because it's just gather the materials, you're done. Philosopher Sword, whatever. Champion Sword, you know, now that I'm thinking about it, let me also pull up Chronico as well. Let's see. Chronico Sword and Shields. And let me turn that on. Google Chrome, are you working? Don't tell me you're failing on me now. It's fucking failing on me. I'm not surprised at all. I had to update all my video drivers just to get this thing to work. That's why it's focused on a specific tab. There we go. There we go. Okay, now let's go ahead, shrink this up a little. Yeah, let's just put it right here-ish. And let me see how that looks on my end. Obviously, I'm going to have to increase this size quite a lot. Or will it not let me increase the size? No, there it goes. There it goes. Or maybe it doesn't have to be this complicated. I just gotta click this and then just go to the right. Well, let's see. So, Sopho's Sword. I remember this one not being very hard at all. It was just very basic, very simple. Let's see. Collect iron ores, BLI ores. Ultima Crystal. Okay, really? A lot of the weapons that needed some sort of an Ultima Crystal, at the very beginning, I was pretty confused as to how the fuck am I going to get it. I don't understand why this thing isn't just like falling out of the sky like all the other pieces of shit. But no, turns out that there was only a few handful of places where I could actually get it. One of them for sure was was having my Meowster hunters go out, and anytime there was an Eragon at G rank, I would have to send them out there. Another one that I knew for sure how to get was like it would occasionally drop from Ataka. And then the last thing was like mining Volcanic Hollow, which I honestly did not want to do. But, you know, that's my own problem. Let's see. Champion Sword. This one that I'm wielding right now. That one wasn't too bad either. Honestly, that one was actually pretty easy from what I remember. Yeah, we can actually do this. Now that I'm looking at it, I forget that the order that the Sword and Shields come in is still the same order as it is in Chronico, so we're going through this together. Now, when it came to the Hunter's Knife, it wasn't that bad, honestly. Hunter's Knife was definitely one of the easiest ones to fully max out. It's not very hard at all. What I would say is just play the game. King Chris. Was that one annoying? If I look at the materials, I'll definitely remember for sure. King Chris. Let's see. We got the Monster Stones and Monster Bones. Okay, the only one was the Large Elder Dragon. Oh no, that's Large Elder Dragon Bone, not Large Elder Dragon Gem. Yeah, this one, not hard at all to upgrade. From what I remember, I think a lot of the level 1 Sword and Shields were not very bad to upgrade. Bone to Bar, I'm expecting something unremarkable as well. Yeah. Okay, the weirdest thing to me is like on how it actually took Demon Drugs and Mega Demon Drugs to actually upgrade. Like I would expect that out of Kinsec, but not as much from the actual weapon itself. Let's see. Yeah, another unremarkable one. Play the game as you normally would. Secto Nulo or Secta Doom. This one was really. The biggest thing that I found pretty annoying was is just having to get the Bunnahabra shells and carapaces. I think this one definitely stands out to me a lot, mainly because of how many Bunnahabras I had to kill and how annoying it was. In fact, if I remember right, I want to say I sent out Prowlers to do this quest every single time. Just because of how annoying it was. And then not only that, but having to fight Hyper Celtis Queen. Because if I remember right, the DS concentrate comes from it comes from normal Celtis Queen. I don't know why I was thinking it came from Hyper Celtis. For sure a lot of the ones that dealt with Hyper Celtis, super annoying to do. Other than the Bunnahabra parts though, this one was not bad at all. It was quite tame. Now, let's see. Next one, Elite Dagger with the fucking Jaggies. another not hard one to do. The only slightly annoying thing to get would have to be the Fey Wyvern Gem, but honestly, kind of the best way to go about that would have to be the G2 hunt, where you have to fight. It was Velocidrome, Geodrome, Gendrome, Eodrome, and then Great Macau. Honestly, that would probably be the best way to go about that one. Let's see. Next one, Serpent Soul. Now, I remember this one to be the very first one that I actually found to be quite annoying. And the only reason why, whoops, here we go, I found it to be quite annoying is because you needed fucking Velocidrome heads. And I know that sounds really stupid, but for whatever reason, they weren't really dropping with me at the beginning. And I remember, oh yeah, and it wasn't just that. Besides the Velocidrome heads, I just did not have a lot of the Velocidrome parts in general. So I remember having to do the Huntathon, just smacking Velocidrome after Velocidrome, just for a hope for a head, and then of course on the side also pick up some more parts. Next, Bite, the Geodrome one. What can I say about this one? It wasn't that bad from what I remember. Let's see, Avian Finebone, yeah, whatever. The only thing that I thought was kind of annoying about it was, if I remember right, I think I could have only gotten the Geodrome, like as in a one-on-one fight in the in that Minions quest where you have to fight all the drones, at least 2 at a time. Death Grip, fucking classic. This one wasn't too bad to get. Somehow it ended up being one of the easier ones, and I think a part of it is because, especially whenever it comes to like having to do like extra Gen Prey parts, I already had like a couple hundred, because whenever you send your Meowster hunters out, you already have so many Gendrome Fangs or whatever they drop. Lethal Poison. This one was annoying to me for no good reason other than A, I hate fighting Eodrome. I think he's stupidly bulky for a drome. And then B, I do not like fighting Ignactor. He is not one of my favorite fights. Me personally, I find him to be a big pain in the ass. And I think that's why this one stands out to me so much. And not only that, but for whatever reason, I was not carving out those Eodrome Violet shards as well. So I was getting pretty frustrated at this. And then top it off, I was spamming that Minions quest over and over again for this thing. I think I finally got it to where I was getting maybe a somewhat consistent sub 1030. But then there was at least one time where I got a sub 10. I'm pretty sure if I wasn't so focused on carving the dromes here and there, I would have gotten better times. Anyways, Cocksure Compatriots. This one was not too bad from what I remember. Get some revenge on some Rhenopoloses and Bolfango. The one that actually kind of threw me off a little bit was the large herbivore bones. Mainly because I don't ever really fuck with those herbivores. It's like, especially the big guys, it's like they never fuck with me, so why should I fuck with them? Well, that day was the day where I had to fuck with them. And Gammoth's Gammoth, Bolfango's Bolfango. Not the worst thing in the world to upgrade, that's for sure. Foaming Ludroth Gear. Now this one was actually one of the last couple, well, I'd say within the last 50 of being made. It's not that hard in general, just the only annoying thing about the Foaming Ludroth's Gear is just that it's a branch way to a bunch of other ones like Royal Claw, Giga's Club, Rex Talon, and I'd rather get these done and over with. But just the fact that you have to upgrade the beginning sections over and over again for these things, it's a little bit annoying. Really, afterwards, though, the only notable thing was having to fight more Agnactor. Although, thankfully, with the Hunters for Hire, I was able to alleviate some of that grinding. Just leave it to those random-ass hunters to get more parts for me. Whoops, wrong way. Now, Velocidrome Fang Slash. Maybe this one was the one where I needed a lot of Velocidrome parts, and that I found to be very annoying. Yeah, let's see. Velocidrome Head, a lot more parts. Yep. Velocidrome Peel and Talon. Again, this one wasn't too bad, but I think the big thing that stood out to me was having to do the Surregios Carver. And, you know, Surregios is alright. Not my favorite fight in the world, but, I would say for sure a lot of these Rarity 1 Sword and Shields kind of stand out to me because I would say that I wasn't as proficient with the Sword and Shield then than I am now. Because for the most part, having one thing that I told myself going into this collection challenge is I should primarily use Sword and Shield throughout this whole thing. Because otherwise, it's like I might as well be making hammers, or I might as well be making great swords if that's the case. Next, Yucomo Cutter, or I guess the Hot Spring Hatchet. I can't really say I remember anything too much out of this other than just gotta get a bunch of wood. That's it, you just gotta get a bunch of wood. And of course, at the time, I wasn't really much for getting those Ultima crystals, so what did I do at the beginning? I think I just fought a bunch of Atakal for the Ultima crystals for no reason. And then pure crystals, I think I remember at least using a... what's that? The Slick Axes on them. Okay, and stupidly enough, I actually used at least 30 Slick Axes on Beelite ore just because I was really lazy about having to grind those up. Now, the Tarnished Sword was definitely one of the ones that I found to be quite annoying to get. And of course it's because it's a fucking RNG drop. And not only that, not only did you need one, but you needed 3 for at least the Ice Steel Dagger and then the Eternal Strife. But honestly, I was actually pretty disappointed with this one, and I think the only reason why I'm disappointed with the Tarnished Sword is just because you don't really get to keep it in the end. Or not that you don't get to keep it, but like you can't keep upgrading it past level 3. It just stops right there. It's the only Sword and Shield that does not have the option to get into G rank stats, and I find that to be pretty sad. Master's Dagger. Now, I remember this one being like one of the Sword and Shields that actually kind of impressed me. Like, oh, hey, look at you. 340 raw. That's a good amount of purple. Let's see. Was there anything about you that stood out? Celtis Queen. Anytime Celtis Queen came into the equation, it always sticks out to me. And I think the only reason why it sticks out to me would have to be because of what was it? It would have to be because of Hyper Celtis Queen, but thankfully, you know, Hyper Celtis Queen parts were needed in this. Really, the big thing that was needed was more pure crystals, so more Slick Axes were used, and definitely the mucus. I guess the only reason why the mucus kind of sticks out to me was because at the beginning, I remember doing this thing where it was like, you do the G rank Nakarkos, you mine the back, and then I think you get the subquest, and then you subquest your ass out of there. And as a result, you end up getting yourself a bunch of, at least a bunch of the gems. But I remember towards the end of this journey, I, for whatever reason, did not have a lot of the fucking mucus. Oh, man. I don't know why. Alright, so let's see. Next one. Spinal Pick. Let's see now. Spinal Pick. What was significant about you? I think another significant thing about some of these would have to be the bug drops. Oh shit, you also needed Wrath Gleams. That's right. Yeah, this one was probably the first slightly pain in the ass one, just because, if I remember right, Wrath Gleams weren't really dropping for me throughout this whole thing until towards the very end. And having to fight Gold Raytheon over and over again is just a big pain in the ass. And then, of course, I also did not farm for very many bugs at the beginning of G rank as well. So, as a result, I had to usually go out of my way of actually going for all the bug drops. Oh, and Heavy Wyvern Scalp. That wasn't too bad. If I remember right, Shogun kind of dropped them on occasion. Let's see. Yeah, it was even a reward, 10%. Don't even think about the Restorazer shit. Oh, and hey, what do you know? And even in Meowster Hunters, you have a chance at them. In fact, now I think about it, I think I used Meowster Hunters to actually get that Heavy Wyvern Scout. Now, Permafrost Edge, I can't say I remember much of a journey with this one, and the big reason for it was because I think when I started it, I already had this Sword and Shield maxed out. Honestly, I got nothing to say. The only pain in the ass thing about this would have to be the Blanco fur. That's it. Moving on. Now, Secta Do. This is another Banabra one, which was pretty fucking annoying. Yeah. Or Banabra, or however you pronounce it. Mosquito Razor Wing. Ultra Plegia Sac. Wasn't bad. What was bad was the fucking Hyper Celtis Queen. And I should also preface this where around the first half of my journey, which I started like a year or two ago now, I was living in a house with very, very poor internet, and I mean, I could not play online at all. So a good share of this I had a solo, and this was including these Hyper Celtis Queens. And the big reason why I hate Hyper Celtis Queen is because of her Hyper Charge move, where it just comes out at an instant and does like 90% of your health. Super fucking annoying. Now let's see, was there anything significant with Secta Do R? Yeah, that's right. It was more fucking Hyper Celtis Queen. I do not like these Secta, or at least these two Secta weapons, just because of the Hyper Celtis Queen. I mean, I think they're neat. Like, that's it. Like, ooh, look at the slight color variations, but I don't have anything else to say about it. I think I remember Bruising Beak being kind of annoying to get. And the only reason for it was because I had to fight Ignactor. And then like Hyper Ignactor on top of that. And of course, like I said earlier, I'm not a fan of Ignactor. He's a big fucking pain in the ass to me. But otherwise, everything else was just fine. Strong Battle Axe. That's the Gypsaros one. Gypsaros was pretty easy. Even the hyper version of it wasn't that bad. Just fucking spam Round Force every day. Thunderbane, or I guess Indra as it's called when it's fully upgraded. What was big about this one? More Hyper Gypsaros. Oh, Hyper Lightning Sacs. Okay, so an unfortunate thing with a lot of the Thunder Element weapons is a lot of them involve needing lightning sacs or hyper lightning sacs to some capacity. So as a result, you are forced to fucking fight Ketsu over and over and over again. Like, I don't know what my count with Ketsu was before this, but definitely for sure afterwards it rose at least, I don't know, maybe a good 20 to lowball it. Now, the Royal Claw, from what I remember, this was another one that I had already upgraded all the way before starting this journey. But I mean, it's Ludroth. I mean, I'm pretty bad with the Leviathan matchup, and I didn't start getting kind of decent with it until towards the end of this fucking journey. But otherwise, Hyper Ludroth, not bad at all. The Dream Archduke Shura. I'm not gonna lie, I love the design for this, and I was kind of sad that that was going to be done and over with, like right then and there. And I guess the other reason why it was pretty quick and easy to get it done and over with was because there was a period of time when I ended up doing this joke run against Malfestio by using fucking Striker Hammer of all things. So for the most part, I already had the parts. I think the only thing I really had to grind for was the Camelio Spellwing. Alright, next, Kezu Razor. What can I say? It's fucking Kezu. That's all I got to say about it. It's Kezu. Now, Dual Crustaceo. What was significant about you besides having to fight a bunch of fucking crabs? I think that was it. It was just having to fight a bunch of crabs. I think the big significant part about it to me would be the high rank version of Shogun Cenotar. And me personally, I think a lot of the high rank versions of some monsters are such pains in the asses to fight. And I think it's because their move pool is smaller, and as a result, they are able to spam their more annoying moves more often. Now let's see. Paraspike Rondo. This one was actually not too bad to grind for. And I would have to say that this weapon actually gave me a newer appreciation towards Naharala. Just because I could say that I finally actually figured out the fight and could better fight it thanks to this sword. That, or I'm just speaking from memory from when I was playing for you and using Hunting Horn against it. I don't fucking remember. But main thing is that this weapon definitely did give me a better appreciation of Naharala. Now, Avidia Edge. Now, I will definitely say for sure that Narga Kuga is probably my weakest matchup in the game. I'm just pretty bad at it. Even I've kind of figured it out now, but even then, it's still my weakest matchup. So I remember this one being a bit of a pain in the ass to get. Hyper Narga Shards, I think I was going from hall to hall helping people out randomly, and this one just so happened to kind of fall into my lap. But I mean, hey, 50 affinity with the right set, 40 affinity naturally. Chalcomine Sword. This one pisses me off tremendously. And the reason why it pisses me off, not because it's hard to get, no. It's when you're trying to get the other shit. The other fucking worn swords and shields. This one will just pop up and laugh in your face. And I fucking hate that. It's not hard to upgrade. The only thing that's a little annoying is getting the Dragonbone artifacts. But after a while, when I had to try and grind for the worn sword and shields, those Dragonbone artifacts were just falling into my lap. Just because of how frequently I was visiting those secret zones. Now, the Cat's Paw. This one sticks out to me a lot because it was really fucking annoying because I needed the Palico Ticket G. And normally, I guess if you're playing this game pretty casually and you take your cat everywhere, this is no biggie. You probably already have like 10 of them. For me, no, I had to start bringing my Palico everywhere with me just to start getting this shit done. And I remember while getting this Palico Ticket G, I was like, well, fuck it. If I'm going to do this, I might as well get all the other Prowler quests out of the way. So I definitely remember knocking out all the G rank Prowler quests due to this one. But this one was such a pain. Oh, and the paw print tickets. Don't get me started on those. Because, of course, with the Malinxes that are out on the field, you knock them out, then you have a chance to get the shiny. And then if you get that chance for the shiny, then you have to roll for another chance to get the paw print ticket. And I remember, especially with both of the cat weapons, a lot of the time what would happen is I would just get all the other shit. So fucking stupid. Oh yeah, here we go. The Millennium Knife. I don't remember this one being too hard. Yeah, this one was not hard at all. Like, this one just kind of falls in your lap, honestly, if you just played the game normally. Now, Gimbal Gyre. What was significant about you? I think you needed to do... What quest did you need to do? Weapon Codex? Thankfully, you only need one of those to get this started. Eragon Marrow. Eragon's a little annoying, but at the same time, he's one of my favorite ones. Now, having to get the Brilliant Fluid was like, eh. I don't mind fighting Nibblesnarf, and in fact, I kind of forgot he existed until I just read Brilliant Fluid. But otherwise, and then, like, you have to get Xenogur Jasper. I don't like fighting Devil Joe too much in the older games, only because I'm using Sword and Shield, and my little sword can't reach, and I'm getting tremor'd constantly. Otherwise, nothing much of note with this one. Xenogur Skimmerold, whatever. Everyone hunts Xenogur. Xenogur's a very fun fight, so I didn't mind. Sound Asleep Mufa. This one sticks out to me just because of the Mufa. That's it. And I guess the other thing that kind of stands out is I remember Kat, my wife, she was watching me kind of grind for this one, and she was like, no, don't kill the Mufa. It's like, don't worry, I won't kill him. Of course, and she sees me smack it with the sword and shield, and their bodies go flying. She's like, Manny, what the hell? Well, not what the hell, but like, what the heck? Now, let's see. Lost Ys, or Yice, Yes. This one was like, and again, from what I remember, really the big thing about it is that you had to use a lot of Meowster Hunters, and you had to really snipe out those secret spots. And I guess the only other annoying thing about it really would be the Fire Gleam Dollops. I mean, I don't have anything else to say. It's a pretty unremarkable sword and shield. It looks real fancy, but it's pretty unremarkable. Now, Obsidian Sword, or the Ethereal Cretaceo. This one is also kind of unremarkable. This one also just, for the most part, falls into your lap whenever you're upgrading sword and shields. I mean, hell, you probably would get this one just by progressing through the story. I mean, nothing else to say there. Now, Heavy Bang, or Bang Bang, which is the final upgrade for it. This one sticks out to me mainly because for no good reason, this ended up going to be like one of the last 30 sword and shields that I ended up making. And again, and this for no good reason. And it's going to sound real stupid, but it's because I needed Shimmering Dragon Fluid, and me personally, I do not like fighting Valstrax. And so, as a result, I just kept pushing this one off. Just, like, kept shoving it back and back. And then after a while, like, I finally grinded some Valstrax with some friends, and then some Flutterflies I needed. So, eventually I had to get the fucking bug net out and start getting some Flutterflies. Otherwise, upgrading this one, it's unremarkable. I think the only slightly annoying thing is, like, let's see, Hunter's Dagger. Okay, yeah, no, this thing, it was just unremarkable. Now, the Ravensblade, or the Crowblade, I like this one. I mean, I don't like fighting Hyper Garuga or Kushala Daora, but I don't know. I think this is probably one of the first Sword and Shields where I was like, yeah, this was pretty satisfying to do. Because young Garuga, he's a bit of a challenging monster for Sword and Shield, and yeah. This one was honestly one of the first ones I was like, yeah, this was pretty satisfying. Now, the Gigas Club, or Mighty Gigantrion. This was definitely within the last 30 Sword and Shields to do, and I think the big reason for it was because I did not want to fight Hyper Eragon, and I think I did after a bit. I don't remember why I did, but then it was the Eragon Pallium. The Eragon Pallium, when me and my friends were grinding for this, was not showing up, and I think, oh, that's right, I was grinding for Mighty Gigantrion and the Crystal Beard version of the Sword and Shield at the same time, and in total we needed 3 Palliums. And I remember we stuck to it for a couple of hours for sure before eventually we got all 3 Palliums that we needed. If it wasn't for needing 3 Palliums, this thing would have been unremarkable, and I would have done it a long time ago. Empress Rapier. This was definitely one of the first 50 I did. Not too bad, honestly. Really, the only thing of... well, actually, no, not even. This thing's actually relatively... That's right, yeah, this thing was relatively simple to upgrade, so it's definitely one of the first poison sword and shields that got knocked out. Maybe your hardest bit would be getting a Raytheon mantle, but even then, there are so many fucking Raytheons in this game that you just get it no problem. I mean, you fuck up normal Raytheon all the time, and then gold Raytheon has a higher chance of dropping it, and same thing with Dread Queen Raytheon. Like, I don't even know how many Raytheon mantles I have currently. Now, High Ifrit. This one was one of the first Fire Sword and Shields that I upgraded, and one of the first ones that I had to use primarily before eventually moving on to something else. Honestly, I like the design for this Sword and Shield. I just wish it was a little better. But it wasn't that bad to grind for, though. Maybe your biggest pain in the ass thing would have to be the Hyper Flare scales. But I'll be honest, when it came to the Hyper Flare scales, because this was when I was forced to do everything solo at the time, I had to find ways around it that I thought were easier to do. And for me, the easiest method of grinding for Hyper Flare scales was to fight Hyper Lavasioth. And then Rathalos Mantle, well, you fuck up enough Rathaloses and you'll get your way. Now, Glacio Sword. I remember it wasn't until I started hammering down on the Thunder Sword and Shields where I finally started to get this. But fuck. What a pain in the ass. I mean, thankfully this is just normal Legiacris. You don't need any G-rank hyper parts. But still, what a pain in the ass. Fuck Legiacris, that's all I gotta say. Now, Oppressor's Bounty. This one's not bad at all. This is... I mean, I already had this one maxed out before I started my journey, so... I was like, yeah, it's just Xenogre. Whatever. I love this dude. Now, Kiranawi Kunpu. If I remember right, I also already had this one maxed out before starting this journey, but it's a Mizune fight. I got nothing else to say about it. Astalos Rapier. I actually put this one off for quite a while just because I'm very about fighting Rathalos. I'm not Rathalos, Astalos. And I remember finding Hyper Astalos to be a big pain in the ass. And it wasn't until like me and a bunch of buddies got together to collectively kick its ass too. So that wasn't too bad after a while. Behemoths Tusk. Really the only annoying part about this one would have to be... What was it? Was it the Snow Clods that I had to get? Or it was the Hyper Snow Blocks. And Hyper Gammoth Fur. I think overall though, Gammoth's not a hard fight. I think this was one of the ones I had to do solo, but once it was done, it was done. It's sad it's a little unremarkable, but whatever. Glinting Glavinova. This one was the main fire sword and shield that I used for the longest time until I eventually got the silver low sword and shield and the gold silver sword and shield. I mean, it's not a bad sword and shield. That's all I gotta say. Me personally, I don't like fighting Glavenus, and I think this was one of the ones where I had to do it solo as well, so it was a bit of a pain in the ass. But you know, it's like, whatever. You live and you learn. Now I'm gonna say this right now. All the Gormagala weapons made me hate Gormagala. And the reason why it made me hate Gormagala was because of the hyper gore parts that were needed. I think in total you probably needed around 12 hyper Gormagala parts. And with the tiny sword and shield, it gets really fucking annoying once that fucker really decides to start flying. And not only that, but this was also one of the ones where I was kind of forced to solo it for quite a while. And fuck, man, just fighting hyper Gormagala solo with the sword and shield. I mean, I think after a while I started to really get the hang of it, but when you make those mistakes, it's a big ass mistake, and it starts to really compound. Because then you're trying to heal yourself, at the same time you're trying not to get ass blasted with the super virus balls. And then yeah, Surregios, Insurgent Fangs. This one's pretty unremarkable, other than you fight Surregios. I guess the only real remarkable thing is having to get the gold Raytheon Surspikes, but I think after a while you just end up fighting so many gold Raytheons that you kind of lose track of it. But from what I remember though, every time I needed a gold Raytheon Surspike, I really had to drop what I was doing just to start farming gold Raytheon. Just because some of those Surspikes become pretty prominent. Great Tigrix Sword. I love this one. I don't like fighting Tigrix too much, especially Hyper Tigrix, but I really like this one. This was another sword and shield where I'm like, yeah, fucking satisfying. Now, Kieran Bolt Perfectus. This was another one that I ended up grinding with some of my friends, but this one was just annoying. Just because it's Kieran. And then top it off, you needed more Hyper Lightning Sacks, so that meant fighting more fucking Hyper Kezu. And of course, that's just a big pain in the ass. Thermo Storm. From what I remember, I made all the Brachio weapons at around the same time. And the thing about the Brachio weapons is, like, they're 3 out of the 7 blast weapons that Sword and Shield has. Honestly, I don't have much to say about this one, other than you gotta stop the charm farming and get hyper Brachio cortexes. But other than that, it's pretty unremarkable. If you do any charm farming, all the Brachio weapons kind of just fall into your lap. Le Lumiere. Again, only reason why this sticks out, Hyper Gormagala skills. Oh, my bad, this one needs 6. Yeah, this one was a big pain in the ass to get. Deora's Maelstrom, or Strom. This one was a pain in the ass to get, only because you had to get a rusted sword. And I remember spending at least about 2 days constantly grinding for rusted swords in a Tetsukaba quest. And of course, you needed the Kushala parts, and I think it made me really kind of appreciate Kushala. But at the same time, it also made me appreciate the different styles as well, because I like using Striker style, I like using Valor style, but it's definitely one of the ones that kind of forces you to realize that not all styles are going to be good against all matchups. I know this is probably like inherently obvious, but I think this is one of those that really hammers it down. Because Valor, Sword and Shield, you really love to be kind of flying everywhere. but because you have to be constantly head sniping, Deora just does not allow that, because if you're too close to his main body, you get pushed away, and then you have a bad time. Now, out of Baron Horns, this one was like, it was a little annoying just because it's Nakarkos, but I remember I had like a shitload of secret soul orbs because I was grinding for the mucus sometime or another. Nothing else to say, really. Garlanded Seif. What's significant about you, if there was any significance? I guess just the tough Dragonvine. That's it. Otherwise, this Sword and Shield just kind of falls into your lap. Grandmaster Sword was definitely within the last 10 or so to do, and the only reason for it is just because you just fucking push off the arena quests. Now, out of all of these arena quests, the biggest one that sticks out to me would have to be the Kangalala coin, because that one is a Prowler arena quest. And I did not know what the fuck I was doing as a Prowler, I'll be honest. I don't play that shit enough to actually know. Otherwise, and I guess the other thing that kind of stood out was the Eragon coin. I did not know how to unlock it, and then it turns out I had to do the fucking G20 or the G3 quest where it's like deliver 20 coals. I'm like, oh, okay. Next, Spiritual Yucomo Axe. Again, it's pretty unremarkable. It's not that hard to grind for. Maybe your biggest pain in the ass would be getting Meldspar ores, but even then, the Meldspar ores just kind of fall into your lap after a while. Fatalis Sword. This one's a pain, just because at the beginning you gotta get the dark pieces and dark stones, and then after a while, actually go out and fuck up Fatalis. Yeah, I did not like grinding for this sword. It was just annoying, and I didn't want to fight Fatalis, so I remember pushing this off quite a bit until around the halfway point. Legends Blade. This one was like, I can't really say much about it, just because, like, this one also kind of falls into your lap after a bit. I guess the only... Oh, whoops, I went too far. Shit. Go back. Large Wyvern Gem, Great Wyvern Crystal. Okay, I guess really the only big thing is that you gotta fuck up a Cantor, you can lose. But otherwise, this one just kind of falls into your lap. Nothing of real significance. Eternal Vengeance. Oh, that stupid ass dragon. That's right, yeah, this one was another rusted sword one. Really, the only big thing of note is just how many fucking earth crystals it takes to upgrade this. I remember I had several hundred earth crystals, and it wasn't until after upgrading the Eternal Vengeance and some of the other rusted weapons where I finally got down to single digits for earth crystals. I think by now my stockpile's replenished itself, but shit, it takes a lot of fucking earth crystals, as you can see on the screen right there. Agamen, I'm just gonna call it Agamen. Well, anyways, this one, I remember this one being significant because of the Storm Vesicle clumps. I remember a lot of these Water Sword and Shields, they require Storm Vesicle clumps. And so as a result, you had to fight Amatsu a good small handful of times. But like kind of at the same time, because of that, the Amatsu Sword and Shield hopefully falls into your lap after a while. But I remember doing this one with friends, just because, you know, friends make Monster Hunter a lot better of a game. Imperial Brand, Hyper Celtis Queen, right? No Hyper Celtis. I was pretty confident you had to fight a Hyper Celtis Queen. It's probably the next Celtis weapon. But, Hyper Viscous Fluid. Now I'm looking at this. Maybe I didn't have as hard of a time as I made it out to be. I think it's only because It's a Celtis weapon. It sticks out to me. And I think Celtis Queen immediately. Shark Slitter. Whoops. Okay, no, whoops. Okay, Shark Slitter was not that bad of a get. I mean, me personally, I love fighting Zamtrios. So this one was not a biggie for me. That's it. Aged Sword. Now, thankfully for me, I already had, from what I remember, when I started this journey, I at least had one of the Worn Sword and Shields, and this was not it. I think it was the other dragon one that you get. And then this one just kind of fell into my lap while I was grinding for everything. But I can't say this one really sticks out to me. It wasn't hard to grind. It was very easy to upgrade for. Pneumatic Drill Blade. I remember having a lot of fun moments with this one. The only thing I was pretty confused about was like, what the fuck, Brack Warhead? And if I remember right, that's the, let's see. That should be the, yeah, that's the Raging Brachydios fight. That was like the biggest, what the hell? Alright, let's see. Scaly, whoops, wrong way. Now, Shadow Nurrive. Man, I cannot speak right now. It was Hyper Nursila. I got nothing else to say about it. Now, I see Asgar or Axar. I liked grinding for this one. I liked the design for it. More Hyper Zamtrios, which, if I remember right, the Hyper Zamtrios fight, for whatever reason, tripped me up quite a bit, just because the pace of things definitely got altered quite a bit whenever it came to the hyper attacks, and it threw me off for whatever reason. No, the Fobetter Fin Sword. Plizioth is such a fucking pain in the ass to fight, especially with the sword and shield where you could just barely hit anything, so you're just smacking those legs for shit damage the entire time. Wasn't really fun from what I remember. Malink's Master was definitely amongst the final 10 sword and shields I made. And the big reason for it was because the paw prints were not fucking dropping for me. And not only that, but this thing was just a slow grind towards it. Like, I remember spamming the Prowler quest where you just fuck up a bunch of Malinxes and Felines. And then afterwards, you gotta fight fucking Cephalos, and Cephalos is a pain in the ass for no good reason. And then, of course, more paw print tickets. Paw print tickets. And those fuckers would not drop for me. Now, Shining Wyvern Zenith, this one sticks out because of the Fire Gleam Dollops. It's not even the fact that you needed great Wyvern Crystals, because I think I ended up getting enough of those from making the Cantor Sword and Shield, but just the Fire Gleam Dollops, such a pain in the ass. And of course you gotta fight Silver Athlos and Gold Raytheon. Never Event. This one wasn't too bad to make. I remember making this quite quickly, but fuck, I do not like Barioth. And Hyper Barioth is such a pain in the ass. Red Divine Flame. I enjoy fighting Gravios. And even Hyper Gravios to an extent. Because from what I remember, for this one, it was just Valor Sword and Shield spam. And then water his legs. And it's a fucking joke. Grand Dual Cross. Are you the Hyper Celtis one? It's the Hyper Celtis Queen one. This was the one I did not like making, because Hyper Celtis Queen is such a bitch to fight. Suncore, definitely one of the better fire sword and shields out there. It's got a very juicy fire and very delicious purple. I mean, all I gotta say is, like, you just gotta fuck up Hyper Rathalos a couple times, but it's not that bad. Now, the Susanoo no Mikoto, on the other hand, this one was a fucking big pain in the ass because of Hyper Legiacris. That shit was not fun. I did not enjoy making this sword and shield, so I was fucking delighted when I found out that the normal Legiacris one did not require Hyper Legiacris parts. Sedition Shredder, this is the Hyper Surregios one. I can't say it sticks out too much for me, other than maybe needing Surregios lens and more Valstrax parts. But otherwise, it wasn't too bad. It was actually pretty easy peasy. Lemons get pretty squeezy. Pluto Catena, this one involved Duramboros. And in fact, I did not know that Duramboros had a sword and shield until this fucking journey. And it was pretty fucking cool to look at, and that's for sure. It's pretty cool to find out about. Hyper Duramboros, me and my friends just fucking ate that shit up. I mean, of course, I use sword and shield, but then my buddies were using Pierce Bow, and it's like, holy shit, this guy is kind of dying. Struction Annihilator, again, one of the other Bracky parts. This one essentially falls into your lap until you gotta start grinding out the Hyper Brax. But otherwise, it's not that bad. In fact, all the Bracky fights made me appreciate the sword and shield matchup a little more. Now, Cursed Rajang Club. What can I say? Hyper Rajang fucking slaps. Dragon Zenith Sword. What's this, the one with Lao? It's the one with Lao. This one was not... This one was a pain in the ass just because of the having to fight Lao. That's all I gotta say about it. Great Wyvern Crystal, Viscous Mucus, whatever. You can grind those all day, but nobody wants to grind Lao. Ninja Master Sword. This one was kind of interesting, just because you had to fight what I would consider the 3 Elder Dragon boys. Deora, Chameleos, and Tiastra. The only time this thing became a pain in the ass was the very end, where you had to get a Sky Swayer. In which case, like every single Elatrion fight, I did that with friends. I did not want to fight Elatrion solo, because that bitch was a fucking pain. Now, Divine Aggression, God. Again, this one uses up a lot of fucking Earth Crystals, but otherwise, no significance. Barbarian Terror, or the Studded Bat, or Studded Club. This one sticks out only because I don't fight Diablos too often, and it's not that Diablos is hard. It was just, I don't know. I pushed this one off for quite a while for whatever reason. I think it's because of the way Diablos just constantly charges in the older generations, and that I just find to be kind of annoying. Authority Pathfinder. Again, I don't like fighting Valstrax, so I pushed this one off for quite a little while until around the midway point. And then, like, once I got past, like, needing Valstrax Hard Claws, it's like, alright, let's go fuck up some Ataka. I could do that all day. The Dengeki Sword. This was definitely amongst the last of the Thunder Sword and Shields I made. And it's because it needed Hyper Legiacris peels. But thankfully, I ended up helping one of my other buddies, if I remember right, fighting Hyper Legiacris, and as a result, this one just kind of fell into my lap. Thankfully. Thankfully. The only thing that really needed grinding was the Ghoulish Goldhorn. That's it. Rolling Thunderbolt, another event one. More Ghoulish Gorers, and what do you know, more Hyper Lightning Sac, so more Kezu. Now, Master Sword G, this one was definitely amongst one of the last couple that I upgraded, only because it needed Conquest Spheres. And as a result, it's like, alright guys, can y'all help me fight a Cantor? I mean, I could fight him myself, but it just takes a while sometimes. And then as for the large Elder Dragon Gem, I ended up grinding a bunch of Tiastra for that because I knew I'd be needing the Tiastra parts for the Tiastra's metal. So it just kind of came hand to hand, thankfully. Now, the illustrious Falchion. This was a big fucking pain in the ass to get. Because of course this was the Fire Emblem event quest where you had to fight that roided up Silver Rathalos. And of course, I remember we were all in G rank gear, and this guy can still do about 50 to 75% of your HP, which is fucking bonkers. And then top it off, needed an Azure Dragon's Fire. So, more Elatrion. I swear, when it came to the Elatrion, me and my buddies, we all dreaded it, but we knew it had to be done. Teostra's Metal. Now, my whole goal was to get all these sword and shields made before I got my copy of Monster Hunter Rise, which probably won't be happening until either later today or maybe tomorrow. But this one was the one making me sweat bullets because I was grinding for this sword and shield while grinding for all the other ones throughout the weeks, and these worn sword and shields were not fucking dropping, and this was the last worn sword and shield weapon I needed. And then last night, through some divine miracle, it finally dropped. And you bet your ass that as soon as this one dropped, I showed the picture to everybody, and we were all like, alright, let's assemble the team. This is it. We're finishing this anime arc tonight. Lunatic Thorn. It's gold Raytheon. That's the only reason why it sticks out. And I remember for a while I was stuck on needing the Surf Spikes just because they were not dropping for me. And that was a pain in the ass. Golden Riot. More hyper gold Raytheons, but just because you only needed 2 of the shards, this one was definitely less of the pain in the ass to make. Demon Lord Crusher. What can I say? It's Rajang. Only notable part is actually needing Fire Gleam Dollops. That's it. A Cantor Purge. The Cantor Purge wasn't too bad. It was just needing Conquest Spheres, so it makes it a pain. Now, Yucanlos, me personally, I find Yucanlos to be pretty fun to fight. Just because I actually like it when he does his little diving move, because then you could just block that shit, Valor Sheath that shit, and then just start smacking at his back, almost unpunished. And I find that to be pretty fun. And to be fair, the Yucanlos fight as a whole is just an exciting fight. It just sucks as a weapon's ass. Heaven and Earth. This was more Amatsu. Amatsu's a bit of a pain, but with friends, it's easy. I think my biggest thing is like having to learn to head snipe him. I think that's really the biggest thing. Wrathful Taurus. This one fell into my lap once I actually got off my ass to grind for the low rank Nakarko shit. And it just fell into my lap just because of how much viscous fluid, or not viscous fluid, some of the Nakarkos ones just I ended up getting, especially the Secret Soul Orb. I already had like 10 on hand before starting this. Altheos Zodiarch. It's fucking Elatrion, that's all I gotta say. Now, for Magnestar Akri, I already had this one maxed out and made for the longest time. This was the one that made me like, ugh, fuck, I don't have to fight Valstrax anymore. Only to slowly find out that I still had to keep grinding for Valstrax, as every other sword and shield in the game needed viscous dragon fluid. Now, the Philosopher Sword, you will end up getting this one just by progressing through G rank. That's all I gotta say. Nothing notable. Bloodsucker. I actually like this one, but from what I remember, the only annoying part about it would have to be grinding for the Avian Stout Bones and then grinding for Stygian Worms if you're like me and you don't if you don't catch bugs very often. Now, the Azure Drome Tooth. What was significant about you? Just more avian stout bones? Yeah, just more avian stout bones. That's it. Bloodscale Sword. This is Hyper Nursila, so I don't have much to say. Glacio Cross. This was definitely amongst the last 10 to 15 I grinded for. Just because I don't like fighting Hyper Barioth. Or just Barioth in general. So as a result, it got pushed back. Way the fuck back. Now, Revilian Insignia. What was big about you? I think I ended up getting this one as a side effect of grinding for all the Brachydios ones, especially with this Flashpoint Slime, because you fight Raging Brack enough and you just end up with a lot of it. Zen's Virtue, very easy Sword and Shield to grind for. I got nothing of note, really. Other than you just have to spam the same hyper, what's this called? Hermitar quest over and over. Now, Lucian and Verite, I don't know if I'm saying that right, probably not. More Hyper Gormagalas. So yeah, in total, you need 14 Hyper Gormagala parts for all these Gormagala weapons, and I fucking hated every single moment of it. Like, I don't mind fighting Hyper Gore. I mean, I don't mind fighting Chaotic Gore, but Hyper Gore is a pain in the ass. Daybreak Sun. This was, when I made this one, this definitely became one of the Sword and Shields I used more often, just because of how comfy it is. I mean, of course, you have to fight Hyper Gold Raytheon and Hyper Silver Rathalos. It's a pain in the ass, but I think the one blessed thing that the developers did when it came to G rank was that Hyper Silverlos and Hyper Goldian do not have inflated HP values, so they have the same amount of HP as their normal counterparts, which is a fucking godsend. Light Break Beam. This was the one that showed me the glory of Shoryugeki. And by that, I mean, I was abusing the living shit out of Shoryugeki on Raging Brachydios, and it was so much fun as a result. But he's still such a fucking big pain in the ass to fight as a Blade Master. Now, Unifer, I like fighting Altakal. I just find it annoying once you need that one rare drop that just won't drop for you. Absolute Ruiner Sword. This was one of the few Sword and Shields that I actually grinded for solo because I had no internet. And god damn, was it a pain in the ass? But shit, this bitch was worth it. It was worth it. Pure Fatalis Sword. This was a pain in the ass. Just because white Fatalis is such a pain in the ass to fight due to his armor mode. Even with the Mind's Eye oil, just having your sharpness drop at twice the rate. It's like, fuck. Now we get into the deviants. Dread Queen Reparina. Well, okay. Honestly, the only thing I'll have to say about a lot of the deviant weapons is that they're all pains in the asses to grind for. Especially the Generations deviants, where you have to go from 1 to 15. The only two that I was really spared from having to grind a shitload of for these for the 1 through 15s was Drill Tusk, to an extent Dread King because he was already on level 5, and Hellblade because he was on level 10. Those are the only two I was kind of spared from having to do 1 through 15. And I think the biggest thing to note about all of these deviant weapons, the biggest thing to note was that a thing that me and my buddies ended up doing, since several of my friends already have the large gold crowns, is we ended up ticket skipping because certain quests gave out multiple tickets that, like, besides its own quest. So for example, in the low high rank sections, the Hauntathons give out tickets for essentially 1 through whatever number it starts at. depending on how many of the monsters you kill. Level 9 tickets end up dropping 8s and 7. Level 10 drop 9 and 8. For G4 and G5, the G4 ones, they drop Gs 1 through 4. G5 drops G2 through 5. So often enough, we would be skipping along through these tickets to try and skip as many quests as we had to. Daybreak Edge. If it wasn't for the Teostra Spada, this was the last Sword and Shield to be made. And honestly, it's extremely fitting because I suck at Nargacuga. And then top it off, this is a beefed up Nargacuga. So it was kind of like a story arc that kind of came to an end, where eventually I finally started getting the hang of the Nargacugas and Silverwind Nargacugas. Because that G5 quest, that shit was no joke. Silverwind, Red Helm, and then Silverwind. Red Helm was easy peasy. I could eat that shit all day. But the Silverwind, that was the hard shit. And when we grinded this together, it was like a closing conclusion to this anime arc. Thank God. Now, Diamante Mace, such a pain in the ass. Just because Crystal Beard is no fun to fight. Thankfully for this one, I didn't really have to do some of the G rank quests because I helped out my buddy Joe Kage do his EX Eragon. In fact, with some of these deviants, I was pretty happy to help some of my friends out with their EX quests because before Rise came out, they too also had a goal, but this time their goal was getting all the EX deviants. So by helping them with their EX deviants, it also helped me with some of my grinding. Thank God. Deadeye Fiasco. This one was pretty fun to grind for. I actually enjoyed the Deadeye fight a lot more than a normal Garuga fight. But other than that, I don't have anything else to say. Dread King, on the other hand, what a fucking prick. That's all I gotta say. What a prick. Super pain in the ass. It'd be too soon if I have to fight this guy again. That's all I gotta say. And I know probably in the future, if I decide to go back to Generations Ultimate for like old time's sake, after I get my copy of Rise, it'll be too soon when I have to fight that bitch again. Thunderlord. I remember putting this guy off for quite a while, and it was because the first time I had fought Thunderlord was in Generations, and he clapped my ass so fucking hard that I ran out of there for the longest time. Until eventually I had to come back and fight him. Now, thankfully, like after the first 2 tries with my buddies, I finally learned the fight enough to where I'm like, yeah, this is alright. Although, I would have to say I ended up learning the Thunderlord fight because of the Astalos fight. Or the, what's it called? I can't think of his name. I'm going to call him Azure Bolt Astalos. Now let's see. Next one, Grimclaw Barb. This was another one where I ended up helping one of my friends out with their EX version of it, and thanks to that EX version, not just the EX version. I helped my buddy Leg with EX, and then not only that, but I also helped my buddy Joe Kage with with grinding like G1 through 5 for Grimclaw. So as a result, I already, for the most part, had all the Grimclaw parts with the exception of the 14 ticket. So this one wasn't too bad to grind for. The only pain in the ass part was grinding up 1 through 10. Magma Nova. I don't like Hellblade, I'll be honest. Hellblade's my least favorite fight in the game, and this was just a pain in the ass to do. Now, Cloaked Damashloth. This was actually pretty fun. Nightcloak Malfistio had a lot of fun moments, and even a part where Nightcloak essentially learned Dig at some point, and half of its body just went into the ground for no reason. But otherwise, was not that bad of a fight. The hardest part about it was definitely the G5 fight, where you had to do Nightcloak, Deadeye, Night Cloak. Otherwise, not too bad. Rust Razor, easily the easiest fight in the game. Or at least easily the easiest deviant in the game, I should say. The only annoying part about it was having to go back for the Cenatar Hardclaw. That's it. Oh, and I guess the heavy Rust Razor Scalps. But otherwise, we just spammed the EX at that point. Now, Sanitsura, I cannot pronounce that for my life. Soulseer Mizune. This one was not too bad. This one was actually the most straightforward one. I got lucky with all the tail drops, thankfully, and as a result, I was able to upgrade it within around the minimum times needed. Zevo Espada. This one, it was Bolt Reaver Astalos. This one was one of the biggest pains of asses in the game. Like, I'm actually surprised this one did not end up being one of the last ones to make. But good God, this was a fucking hard fight. Like, holy shit. Like, Bolt Reaver, he claps so many people's asses. It's insane. And his weapon is fucking garbage for no reason. Now, Elder Frost, on the other hand, that was a pleasant fight. The only annoying part was having to get the trunk spines over and over again. But otherwise, that wasn't that bad. Oh, oops, here we go. And then the final Sword and Shield. I ended up getting this one right after I got through all the G-rank deviants. But otherwise, this fight was not bad. This was probably one of my favorite fights in the game. And thankfully for me, this Sword and Shield just bam, 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 bam. Got the horns every single time. Managed to upgrade it to completion. No problem. And that is all of the fucking sword and shields in this game. Thank fuck. Now, that being said, okay, so I'm gonna increase the size for this now, because I do want to talk about the actual sword and shields themselves, especially like in terms of which ones are good, which ones are absolute trash. Can this one be used in these scenarios? Blah 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 blah. You know, the whole 9 yards. Because you know everyone's got their favorite sword and shield design and whatnot. So let's go ahead and start with the no element one. Now to give y'all guys an idea, there's at least about 40. Let me check real quickly. 41 non-elemental sword and shields, not including the deviants. But let's go through some of these talking points that I had. The talking points that I have is, what's the sharpness level? And granted, this is all general stuff that everyone's beaten to death all over again. But sharpness level, so for Sophos Sword, it's obviously not the best one out there. It's got a lot of flexibility thanks to its triple slots. And it's got an okay 320 raw. Champion Sword, this one's okay. 360 raw with white sharpness is fantastic. It's got neutral affinity, which is great. The only thing that holds it back is definitely the lack of slots. I think if it had slots, you could definitely see this being used more often, but as a result, Elder Frost just fucking beats the shit out of it. Same thing with King Chris. Elder Frost beats the shit out of it. If this thing had slots, it might be worth talking about, but it's got shit purple, shit white, and as a result, it's not that great. Bone Breaker Tabar, it's actually got a respectable amount of purple. The only thing holding it back for sure is its negative affinity. Now, as for the points that I wanted to make for whenever it comes to the negative affinity, is there's a couple ways to kind of balance it out. You can either use the Frenzy Art, or you can use this fight in a Gore Magala fight. And then if you just so happen to have a set with antivirus, you get yourself a free 30% affinity, which is fan-fucking-tastic. Another thing is that if you're playing with friends, like having a casual time, or you're just having a casual time with randoms, and you notice that they're using an Insect Glaive with a balance bug, Hey, 15% affinity right there. That'll help you out. Or even a hunting horn with an affinity song, which is usually about 20% affinity. Bam, there you go. Otherwise, you'll probably end up having to double up on your affinity oils, in which case that just restricts whatever gameplay plan you have. Secta Do, I guess the only thing nice about it is that you just have to run Razor Sharp instead of Handicraft, and it's at least got a respectable 2 slots, but its low raw definitely holds it back. Elite Dagger, it's like middle of the line. It's got Wipe Sharpness, it's got 2 slots, but otherwise you could do better. Elder Frost still claps this thing pretty hard. Serpent Soul, a very respectable 350 raw, if only it did not have that sliver of white. But at least on the bright side, though, you can get away with the triple slots. Serpent Soul will definitely help you out with flexibility. Now the Cocksure Compatriots, it's all right. I think you're probably better off using Sharpness +1 to get the slightly extra white, but not too hard to committing to the sliver of purple sharpness. But at least on the bright side, you get a +28 defense. If you ever wanted to do that Baki quest, that 28 defense will send you quite a ways. Foaming Ludroth gear, nothing significant about it. 2 slots. Velocidrome Slash, 340 raw. Again, even though it's got 3 slots, you're better off with your other options. Master's Dagger, it's got purple sharpness, I guess, so sharpness +2, razor sharp. Only thing holding it back is no slots. Spinal Pick, unfortunately that negative affinity really hurts it, so you gotta definitely use your buddies to help you out with the negative affinity. Now the Avidia Edge, despite the fact that it's only got 300 raw, its saving grace is that it's got natural purple, and to top it off, it's got fucking 40% affinity. 40% affinity. So as a result, you do not need to worry about having to use affinity oils. So you can get away with using whatever other oils you feel like using that day. And of course, it's got 2 slots for extra comfiness. Millennium Knife, kinda on the same boat as Avidia Edge. The only difference is that you got a 20% affinity. So if you just so happen to have a friend who's using Balanced Bug, or another friend who's using Hunting Horn with affinity songs, hey, then you're pretty well on a better boat than Avidia Edge. The only big thing though is that you lose your flexibility with the slots. Gimbal Gyre, it's got nice slots, but goddamn, that sharpness is bad. But at least it's got the positive affinity, so you get a little flexibility with that right there. Lost Yeast, this one cracks me up. Shit raw, but a very delicious amount of purple, so you only need to run razor sharp, and it's even got 3 slots. But god damn, it sucks compared to the other options. Ethereal Cretaceo, this is at least good to get you going. It's got the 2 slots, a good amount of white. I don't have anything else to say about this. Bang Bang, at least what it's got going for it is it's got positive affinity to help you out, and it's actually got a decent amount of purple at sharpness +2, and then top it off, it's got 3 slots. You can't go wrong with flexibility on that. Crow's Blade, +25 affinity, huge. Gets a lot of fucking purple at sharpness +2, and it gets 2 slots, so this is a very solid pick. Let's see, what else? Mighty Gigantrion, don't even look at this. That's all I gotta say. Don't even look at this. Practically almost the same stats as the Elder Frost, but this thing has 1 slot, so it's like you get a tiny bit of flexibility, and then B, you get +4 to defense. But regardless, this thing falls behind because of the fact that it doesn't have element, and it does not have the deviant boost to assist it. That's why Elder Frost beats this thing out. And then not only that, but this thing's got a shitload of green. It's so fucking gross to use. Insurgent Fangs, at least it's got the 10% affinity and the 1 slot, and not only that, but you also get Surregios' natural gift of refreshing your sharpness on every roll. Honestly, you might be better with the Sedition version, but at least with both of the Surregios ones, I would actually have to say that they're better off being used with aerial style, because you get essentially 2 rolls per 1 aerial roll, especially if you get the vault off the monster. Tigrix Sword, I want to love it. I want to love it, but what holds it back is definitely that fucking negative affinity. So again, if you have friends with means of negating that negative affinity, maybe you can find it in your heart to bring this to a hunt. Grandmaster Sword. For the effort that it takes to get this thing, this is a pile of shit, even with the triple slot affinity. Unnefer just beats this thing to the ground, no joke. Spiritual Yucomo Axe, at least it's got the natural white, so even though it doesn't have that flexibility versus the Grandmaster Sword, I'd rather pick this over that. Legends Blade, 50% affinity. What can I say? Thanks to 50% affinity, you can run Weakness Exploit, then maybe Razor Sharp, Sharpness +2, maybe even Sharpness +1. You even get like 1 slot to play with. But as a result, you don't need to mess around with affinity oils when it comes to this thing. And thankfully, you can have more fun with this. Granted, it sucks it's got no element, but whatever. Aged Sword, you use this for the fucking memes. Look at that atrocious affinity. Unless you have a Gormagala fight going for you, probably a hyper fight, so you can get those chaos oils up ASAP. Affinity Song, Balance Bug, you need everything in the world going for it just to make this pretty good with that 380 raw. Otherwise, piece of shit. Don't look at it. Pneumatic Drill Blade, super piece of shit. What the fuck were they thinking with -40 affinity? Yeah, sure, it's got 2 slots. Yeah, it's got the nice purple or nice white. But goddamn, you really need everything going for it just to make this thing work. And even then, it's still slapped on by Elder Frost. Shining Wyvern Zenith. This is the superior version to the Pneumatic Blade, hands down. That's all I gotta say. Sedition Shredder, 290 raw, 15% affinity. At least you got the natural purple this time, and you got the flexibility of 2 slots. So honestly, like with an aerial set, this thing actually does pretty decently. Pluto Katana, it's decent. That's all I gotta say. White sharpness, purple sharpness, that sharpness +2, but you're probably better off either using sharpness +1 or just committing to no sharpness skills, with the exception of Razor Sharp. Ninja Master Sword, ass, absolute ass. Only blue sharpness, which is absolutely atrocious at G rank. And it sucks because it's got a decent raw and it's got very good affinity, but that sharpness holds it back so much. Barbarian Terror, -5 affinity. That's not too bad to work with. But again, you need sharpness +2 to make this thing really shine. But at least on the bright side, you get 2 slots for extra flexibility. Maybe it's good to bring against in a Magala fight, but whatever. Authority Pathfinder, again, not a bad pick. You got your already natural 25% affinity, and you got the triple slots to boot. Not a bad pick to use. Master Sword G, unfortunately, this sword's ass. It gets outclassed by a lot of the other Sword and Shields. At least it's got the triple slots, but once you get down to that blue, at least you could kind of reassure yourself that you got blue for days. And you got that extra defense, but there's better picks. A Cantor Purge, ass. The 45 affinity is really nice with the 370 raw, but that blue sharpness holds it back so fucking much. Philosopher Sword, at least it's got very decent white. Just run your Razor Sharp skills, which is honestly not too bad for the most part. Bloodsucker, I want to like this one some more, but again, you either need the double chaos oils to get this thing going, or have a buddy with affinity songs or balanced bug to really help you negate that -15% affinity. But on the most part, this one it has the potential to be good, but you need your friends to help back you up. But of course, as a result, you are kind of forced to stick with the affinity oils. Azure Jerome Tooth, 330 raw, 10% affinity, 2 slots. It's like an okay pick. I guess if you're going to really use this one, you might want to just stick with your standard sharpness +2 set, or Josina set for this, just to try and get the purple value. But otherwise, it's like, eh. At least you got the flexibility to go with it, though. Zen's Virtue with a sharpness +2 set. This honestly is not bad. A natural 25% affinity really carries it pretty well. If only it had slots. Like, if it had 2 slots, I would definitely use this thing a lot more often. But because it doesn't, I don't look at it. Except for maybe occasionally. On the other hand, you got what's essentially the superior version of Zen's Virtue. In which case, you got 330 raw. You get a +60 defense, which honestly means nothing at G rank unless you're doing naked stuff. And you get triple slots. You can't go wrong with that. Now, when it comes to these deviant weapons, Drill Tusk, not too bad. Sharpness +2 set, standard stuff. You get the +5% affinity. You get 15 defense. It's kind of like a baby version of the Elder Frost weapon. Of course, what holds it back is like no element, but you know what? It's not too bad to use. I would definitely look at it. Daybreak Edge, it's got a very healthy amount of purple, especially whenever you pair it with Razor Sharp. And you get that +20% affinity, which makes it a very, very solid choice for sure. And you get the Deviant boost. So it's like, why the fuck not? Crystal Beard Mace, don't fucking look at it. I don't care if that 10% affinity really entices you. It only gets blue sharpness, and it's a piece of shit. Elder Frost just slaps this thing away any day of the week because of the difference in damage with the sharpness modifiers from blue to white. Because I think blue is like 1.2, and then white's modifier is about 1.32, something like that. A big fucking difference. Deadeye Fiasco, it's got a lot of white. You're probably better off just using only Razor Sharp maybe. But at least you could play around with 20% affinity. But I would have to say that that both the normal Nargacuga and the deviant Nargacuga outclass the Deadeye one. Grimclaw, again, normal Nargacuga and deviant Nargacuga outclass this thing. But, you know, it's a nice change of pace. Now, Rust Razor Render, it's got a shitload of white. That's all I gotta say. Again, like, just use your Rust Razor longsword sets with this thing. Have a fun time. Now for Cristadu. This thing can definitely slap, but you need a lot of things going for it. You either use this in a Magala fight, or you use this with friends with balanced bugs and affinity songs. But otherwise, to overcome that -30 affinity, you really have to have a lot of things going for it. And as a result, you're probably going to be stuck having to utilize the double affinity oils. Now, let's go ahead and go with the fire element. Fire element, Secta Do, it's pretty bad. I mean, at least you got 28 fire, triple slots, but that sharpness is atrocious. Bruising Beak, again, it's got that white sharpness, so it's kind of like a somewhat shitty version of the Elder Frost Salam. But, again, it doesn't have Deviant Boost, and it doesn't even have slots, so this thing gets held back by that by quite a lot. High Ifrit. It's not a bad starting fire sword and shield, that I could say for sure. But once you start getting the other sword and shields for fire, it gets outclassed very, very easily. Like, burning Glavanoa outclasses this thing. Sure, it's got 20 less raw, it's got 1 less fire, but it's got 1 slot. But it gets access to purple, which makes all the difference for this thing. Red Divine Flame. I want to like this one. But what really holds it back is that negative affinity. Again, if you have someone with a maybe balanced bug or someone with an affinity song, this thing can be at least decent. But again, it's outclassed by Glavanoa because Glavanoa gets more purple than it. Suncore, this is a very strong sword and shield. Yeah, it's a little lacking on the raw, but it's got very juicy fire. 48 fire, very comfortable amount of purple at sharpness +2, and a natural 15% affinity. You really cannot go wrong whenever you choose this one. Golden Riot, it's a little disappointing compared to Suncore. Yeah, it's got the slightly more raw, but slight less fire as a result, and it's also got 2 slots. I mean, it's not absolutely awful, but and I guess its big saving grace is that you got yourself a lot of white, but it still gets outclassed by the Suncore due to that purple sharpness and plus 15% affinity, which is big. Now for Daybreak Sun, this is kind of in between Suncore and Golden Riot in terms of like the raw, and then of course it's worse in terms of fire damage. But I think the biggest thing going for Daybreak Sun is that you could run this thing with just Razor Sharp if you wanted to, or you could just be extremely comfortable sitting with sharpness +2 with all that fucking purple. Almost never have to sharpen. And lastly, we got Dread King. It's not a bad Sword and Shield. Honestly, I think the Sword and Shields this thing really has to compete for with in terms of who you want to give attention to. Would have to be the Suncore Sword and Shield with the 48 fire and lots of cozy purple. In fact, now I'm thinking about it, Fire Waltz and Suncore, they have the same amount of purple, it looks like. But again, you're fighting against Suncore's 15% affinity and higher fire. But of course, Dread King gets the point in that you have your deviant boosts. Now with Water Sword and Shields, you usually can't go wrong with the Royal Claw because of its flexibility, its high amount of water. The raw is like but chances are you're probably using this against Gravio, so what the hell. Dual Cretaceo. This one's actually got a comfortable amount of purple. It sucks that it doesn't have any slots, and you at least get 30 defense for your naked runs. But this one, it's not bad. It gets outclassed by the Mitsune Sword and Shields for sure, but it's definitely a nice alternative if you want to switch things up. In fact, there's the Mitsune Sword and Shield, and as you can see, Mizu just outclasses this thing in every way. It's got the same amount of raw, but for that same amount of raw, it's also got higher water, and it's even got 10% affinity, which goes a lot further than just having defense, because that G rank plus 30 defense doesn't mean anything, and it gets a 1 slot to boot. Agamemnon, this is actually kind of nice, but I think what holds it back is that it doesn't have the natural affinity that Mitsune has, and it gets less purple to boot as well. And so that's why this one ends up edging out on top, even though these stats are like, it's more raw favored for sure. So maybe you want to use Surregios more often if you decide to use this, but chances are you'll probably be using this one. Imperial Brand, for sure what holds it back is that it's got very little white, no slots to work with either. It's like a baby Elderfrost, but worse for sure. Grand Dual Cross, at least it's got more respectable stats with the purple, and it's got 2 slots to boot, but again, it's outclassed by the Mitsune one, like just in term sharpness and water and the infinity. Heaven and Earth, compared to the other options up here, this one's ass, especially because you got to fight through that -20 affinity. And I guess at least you get white, but that's it. Choose Mitsune any day of the week. The same thing with the Deviant Mitsune one. This one is very good. Deviant Mizu essentially has to compete with itself with normal Mizu, but normally once you have Deviant Mizune, chances are you're going to be using this one just because that 20% affinity launches it so much further. And then top it off, you also get the benefit of that Deviant boost as well. Now for Thunder's full of the pain in the ass ones, I swear to God. Indra's like a baby, what's it called? A baby Elderfrost. And it's at least got 1 slot to boot. But again, you'd rather be using some other options. Like the Dread Razor one for sure is definitely better because you get that plus 15% affinity. You get the nice amount of white, and you at least get a sliver of purple, which is alright. Exlagia Sword, the only thing that this thing has going for it is its flexibility and its good amount of purple. Yeah, is good amount of purple once you're in sharpness +2. But the thing that holds it back for sure is once you're outside of that purple sharpness, you're just going to be in a free fall with your sharpness until you're at green, which is not so great. Oppressor's Bounty, on the other hand, even though it's got less affinity and less thunder than Dreadrazor, this thing still ends up coming out on top because it's gets so much more purple. And then top it off, it also has 2 slots for that extra flexibility. Like, this thing can fit on a lot of sets, which really gives it that edge. Because like your standard sharpness +1 set or sharpness +2 Josina set, this thing can run crit I2 as opposed to this one, which can help make up the difference. Astalos Rapier. Unfortunately, a lot of the Astalos weapons are ass. I don't give a damn you got 290 raw plus 20% affinity and 35 thunder. And you got a good amount of purple. This thing, it shies in comparison to Oppressor's Bounty. If anything, I'd have to argue that this thing's kind of like a trap. But I guess on the bright side, though, because of its positive affinity, you can run other oils if you choose to. Now, Kieran Bolt Perfectus, this shit makes me mad. It's got such shitty raw for that juicy amount of thunder. Like, this thing could be a fucking king, but its raw holds it back so badly. Now, Susano no Mikoto, it's alright. It's not a bad pick. You'll probably want to be running the Xenogre one for its flexibility and for its better purple sharpness, but it's not a bad pick, I'd say. Kind of like a baby, well, a better baby Elder Frost in terms of raw and thunder-ish, but you could do better. Cursed Rajang Club, it's always fun to use, but you need somebody to help you out with that affinity. Dengeki Sword, very respectable, but again, it's outclassed for sure, but the Dreadrazor, I would say. Rolling Thunderbolt, 26 thunder, 15% affinity, but its sharpness is pretty bad, so I'd ignore it. Demon Lord Crusher, I want to like this thing, especially because of its 30% affinity, but goddamn, the sharpness is just utter trash for it. But at least it gets 2 slots. Now for the 2 Deviant Thunder ones, Astalos looks like it's really awesome, but you really got to think about that you have 280 raw, which is very low, and you only have 18 thunder to make up for the fact that you get all this purple and 40% affinity. If you really wanted all that affinity, run Nargacuga weapon. You'll have a better time with it. Otherwise, Thunderlord Skybolt, at least you get a very respectable amount of thunder and you get the 5% affinity. And top it off, you get the Deviant boost. Now for Dragon. Oh, did I not click it? Yep. For Dragon, let's see. Honestly, your best bet would have to be the either Valstrax or Altheos Zodiarch. I think raw-wise, these two almost pretty well come out to be the same. The only difference is that... what's the big difference between these two, I would say? Big difference is that, I guess, if you needed that extra dragon and maybe your charms don't allow for it, then you can choose the Altheos Zodiarch and it can launch you farther. But no one will deny that the Magnestar Acri is super flexible. Yeah, it doesn't have the purple sharpness, but because of its ridiculous amount of white and its 44 dragon, you could just start stacking dragon attacks and crit element and everything under the sun without too much of a problem, especially with its 2 slots. La Lumiere, it's shitty because of its low raw. Sega Ankh, it's also kind of shitty, not because of its low raw. It's got respectable raw and respectable affinity, but its sharpness is pretty bad compared to its options. Illustrious Falchion, it's kind of like the Suncore version, but with dragon, except that it doesn't get the 15 affinity. and as a result, you're better off using Magnestar. Now, Lucian Verte, again, it gets outclassed by its other options because of its very, very shitty dragon. It's got at least a respectable amount of white and 2 slots, but again, you want to be using this in Megalithites if you plan on using it, or using the Frenzy art. It doesn't matter. Now, pure white Fatalis, it's okay, but the big thing that holds it back would have to be flexibility, in which case Magnar Akri, sure, you don't get as much as the purple boost for raw, but you know what? You don't have to run sharpness skills, and that can end up launching you further as a result. Now, ice. Of course, as we all know, your big daddy is Elder Frost Giant Slum. Its raw is just fucking disgusting. It's got the 5% affinity to boot. I'm just going to go up from here. Glacio Cross, very disappointing. 350 raw, 15% affinity, which sounds really awesome on paper, but then you got to account for that it barely has any sharpness to go for it. And sure, you can argue that's kind of the same as Elder Frost Salam, but the big difference I would have to say is the fact that Elder Frost Salam has much higher raw than it, and it gets its deviant boost too to boot. Yucanlos Earth Hatchet, again, gets outclassed by Elder Frost because it doesn't have the deviant boost, and then top it off, you have to fight against your negative affinity, which is a big thing. Same thing with Icy Axar. If you have friends though with Balance Bug and Affinity Horn, at least you can make this one work more often than not. But again, you have to fight through that negative affinity. Never Event. It's kind of like the ice version of Suncore, I would say. The only difference though is that you don't get as much of the purple sharpness. But if you wanted to run more of an ice elemental set, this one will do you better, especially with its 30% affinity, which gives you a lot more flexibility in that regard. Shark Slitter, again, you have to fight that negative affinity, and honestly, Elder Frost kind of outclasses it in every way. But I guess if you wanted to, you could run Sharpness +1 instead of Sharpness +2 if you wanted to match that Elder Frost sharpness. Deora Maelstrom is actually pretty solid in my opinion. 32 ice, 310 raw, 10% affinity to boot, 2 slots as well, and a respectable amount of white and purple with sharpness skills. Hell yeah, sign me up. Behemoths Tusk. I want to like this one a lot, just because it's Gammoth, but again, you got to fight that negative affinity first, which holds it back. Chalcomine Sword. Fuck you for all my Worn Sword and Shield troubles. But on a serious note, at least the one thing it's got going for it is its flexibility with the triple slots. But it's got 310 raw and 23 ice. Again, that Elder Frost slaps it despite the sharpness advantage this thing has. Now, Permafrost Edge. This is also a very good ice sword and shield. It favors more ice, obviously, and really the one that I would compare it to is the Deora's Maelstrom, because they have the same raw, they have the same slots, and but big difference is that Deora sacrifices ice for affinity, so this one's more flexible, but I guess in terms of damage output, Permafrost ends up coming out on top if you're just looking at the element side of things. But again, you can experiment with those sets to figure out what you really want. Asp Bite. It's kind of middle of the line, but at least it's not the worst thing in the world. But what holds it back for sure is it's no slots. Now for Poison Sword and Shields. Poison in general, I would have to say it's one of those elements where, or not elements, it's one of those statuses where it gets better the worse your team is. And it at least see some use in Deora. But yeah, it gets better the worse your team is because it gets more value as a result. But otherwise, it's not that great of a status. So let's take a look. So Lethal Poison, at least it's got the decent sharpness. It's got the triple slots for flexibility, and it's got the ranged raw. But again, I would have to say with the poison weapons though, you really want something with a much higher raw, just because that poison does so little damage overall. Like strong poison battle axe, I would definitely take the less poison any day of the week for that extra raw. But again, what hurts it compared to its competitor is that it doesn't have any slots. Something to consider. Empress Rapier, 310 raw, 30 poison, but it gets 5% affinity to help it out with flexibility, and it gets 1 slot as well. And that at least has a respectable amount of sharpness. At least a strong poison battle axe and Empress Rapier can say that they have a respectable sharpness. In fact, like, you could kind of go either or with poison battle axe and rapier. It just depends on how much this 5% affinity and this 1 slot means to you. Lunatic Thorn. It kind of sucks. Compared to Empress Rapier, it kind of sucks. Its one saving grace is that it gets decent purple at sharpness +2, and it's got the 2 slots. But again, like I was saying with the poison weapons, you really want more of that raw. Like, I'd rather choose the strong poison battle axe over Lunatic Thorn. Now on the oh yeah, I forgot about Blood Slaughter. But Blood Slaughter's biggest saving grace is the fact that it already has natural purple, and you get 25% affinity. Yeah, its poison is a bit on the low side compared to its competitors. In fact, it's got the lowest poison compared to its competitors. But the biggest thing it's got going for it, for sure, is its sharpness and its already positive affinity. So you are able to slap on more raw increasing skills as a result. Now, Dread Queen Raytheon. This one gets the 10% affinity. So it's kind of like a mix of Empress Rapier and Lunatic Thorn. It has Lunatic Thorn's raw and pretty much its poison, but it gets the affinity of the normal Raytheon one, but +5, and it has a shitload of purple. Again, this can help you become much more flexible with your set. So instead of having to run sharpness +2, you could run sharpness +1, for example. And on top of that, you get the deviant boost, so maybe you can actually get away with a little extra damage despite its lower raw compared to its competitors. But for sure, out of all these, I would have to say the ones to really look at would have to be the Dread Queen, maybe Empress Rapier, but definitely the strong poison battle axe. But Dread Queen for sure if you want to be comfortable with your sharpness. Now for paralysis, I'll be honest, a lot of the paralysis weapons are pretty bad. Like, let's just start from the bottom and go up. Like, Malink's Master, absolutely outclassed by Cat-like Thread. In every department except for... No. It gets outclassed in every department except for the extra 10 paralysis. But honestly, with how statuses are, you want that extra raw. You really do want that extra raw. And then top it off, Cat-like Thread has superior sharpness compared to Malink's Master. And it's got superior flexibility thanks to its triple slotting. Now, Paraspike Rondo, this is the Naharala one. It's got very good sharpness for sure. Its paralysis is a bit on the low side. And it's got 310 raw, which is alright. And it's got 1 slot for a little bit of flexibility. But again, you are fighting that uphill battle with that negative affinity. So you're either forced to double up on your crit oils, or you gotta have buddies that can help alleviate that bad affinity. Secta Do G. It's got 290 raw, which is what it can say it has, and you only have to run Razor Sharp. But I probably would rather run Paraspike Rondo just because of its higher raw. Maybe. But again, you don't have to run sharpness skills on this, which is nice. Now, Death Grip is definitely the one that everybody talks about because it's got 300 raw. It's got a very respectable amount of paralysis. And you get the 2 slots for flexibility. Which is definitely a lot. Like, I would have to say, really, Death Grip's main competitor would have to be Paraspiked Rondo, just because of its slightly higher raw. And the fact that it gets purple sharpness. And Cat-like Thread, just because of the already natural white sharpness, because this thing does not have white sharpness naturally. And Cat-like Thread's already triple slotting. which can go a long way for some very niche sets. But otherwise, for sure, the one to not look at, don't even look at Millink's tool. Not unless you're kind of memeing around. Next one, Sleep. Okay, we're getting towards the end of this. Now, when it comes to the sleep weapons, again, you want something with higher raw, especially so you can take advantage of your wake-up hits. Yeah, normally it's like about Lumini. Shouldn't you let the Greatsword user wake it up? Yeah, but sometimes that Greatsword user is a piece of shit, and you want to, like, still keep on fucking things up. So let's just start from the top. Dream Archduke Shura. This is the normal Malfestio one. It's got respectable raw. 300's alright. It's got respectable sharpness. Purple with sharpness +2 for sure, and you at least get that sliver with sharpness +1. And you got 28 sleep, so you'll maybe be seeing 1 or 2 sleeps in a hunt if your team's not that great. And it's got 1 slot for flexibility, which is alright. Sleepy Time Mufa. You could get really comfortable with the sharpness with sharpness +2, and you could get really comfortable with the triple slotting, but its low raw holds it back. In fact, that's just a common theme with a lot of these sleep weapons. They have low raw. They have something pretty big that holds it back for sure. Like Shadow Neurwrithe, 22 sleep, which is pretty bad. And now I'm thinking about it, 20 sleep is also pretty bad as well. But at least it's got the white sharpness for days, so maybe all you have to run is Razor Sharp and just a bunch of raw skills since you have the +30 affinity. But again, that holds it back for sure. The Fobetter Fin Sword, my personal opinion, easily the worst sleep weapon in the game. Yeah, you have the respectable 33 sleep, which is the highest amount of sleep for Sword and Shields, but you have blue sharpness, and your purple and white sharpness are such small slivers that it's just gross to look at. Yes, you get your flexibility, but it gets outclassed by all of the other Sword and Shields, or sleep Sword and Shields for sure. Hell, fucking Mufa outclasses it with its bigger purple and higher flexibility. And then the Cloaked Damaschlaf. This one, I want to like it some more. It's got the natural affinity, and it's got the 330 raw, which is definitely a lot nicer for your wake-up hits. And it gets the Deviant Boost boot. But, of course, it's got the lowest sleep out of all of them. So, at most, you might be sleeping things like once a hunt. I don't know. The problem with the Sleep Sword and Shields is that, in general, there are better options to use. You're better off using Paralysis, Poison even, I would have to argue, and Blast. I mean, at least for the most part, they all look nice. And lastly, the blast weapons. Thermostrom. Like, honestly, all of the Brachydios weapons are very respectable. Thermostrom at least has 340 raw, which is pretty alright. It's got 25 blast to boot. The only problem is, like, with sharpness +2, it's only got a sliver of purple, and it's got, like, maybe okay white. But it doesn't get any flexibility, unfortunately. Garland Seif, easily the worst blast sword and shield in the game. 300 raw is like whatever at this point. But it's only got 24 blast, and you only get white sharpness. Like, for practically the same amount of blast, you're better off using Thermostrom. Honestly, Garlanded Seif is it's supposed to be a joke in my opinion. Destruction Annihilator, definitely one of the better blast sword and shields. Honestly, if I had, well, I'll get to my point later. You got your 310 raw, you got your 38 blast, you have a respectable amount of sharpness for sharpness +2, and you get a slot for a little bit of flexibility. Teostra's Metal, on the other hand, fuck you, only because you were so hard to get. But at least on the bright side, despite having the 290 raw, you got the 45 blast, and you have all that purple sharpness. You're lacking flexibility, though. That's the big problem. The only time I would definitely see you wanting to consider the Teostra's Metal is if you and a bunch of friends are memeing with blast sets. Well, that's not really a meme, to be honest. Well, if everyone's running blast and you just want to blow the monster to hell. Revillion Insignia. at least you don't have to run sharpness +2, but its blast is pretty pitiful. But at least you get the flexibility of just needing to run razor sharp. Light break beam, on the other hand, 44 blast, which is extremely respectable, and it gets through at least a bit of sharpness with sharpness +2. It's a little less than the Teostra's metal, but its big advantage is that it's got the flexibility with the double slots. And then with the Absolute Ruiner, yeah, you'll be really stressed about maintaining your sharpness, but that 330 raw with the 34 blast is extremely respectable, and you get your triple slot flexibility as well. Magma Nova is alright. It's definitely one of the better blast weapons where you don't have to run sharpness +2 on. But I would honestly say it gets outclassed by Absolute Ruiner just because of its sheer amount of raw, and then it's also got higher blast, and it's got the triple slots for extra to boot. So like even the deviant boost and the extra 5% affinity can't really keep up with it. But honestly, if you wanted to go full blast, like if you wanted to really see this monster get blown up to hell, I wouldn't even look at the Teostra Spada. I would honestly look more at the light break beam, mainly because once the monster really stops blowing up as its blast threshold increases, you still want your higher raw to help back you up. And then top it off, you also got this slot flexibility going for you too. In fact, heck, if anything, like if you're running blast sets and all, you might want to consider Destruction Annihilator even. So really, I would say your big three would have to be Absolute Ruiner for its disgusting amount of raw for a blast weapon. Yeah, it's kind of middle of the line with blast, but it's got a disgusting amount of flexibility. For Destruction Annihilator, you got very comfortable purple sharpness with sharpness +2. And you got at least 310 raw and slightly higher blast. And then lastly, with Light Break Beam, you got some flexibility, but you also have a very high amount of blast as well. And with that, shit, I can't believe that's already all the weapons. But yeah. Yeah, right. I agree with you, like Big Daddy Ruiner Sword. But that is essentially my TED talk for all these sword and shields. Honestly, the best ones that come to mind for sure. Let me go ahead and get rid of this overlay. Going back to the game. Best ones for sure, in my opinion, SnS or Deviant Mizu, Fire Waltz. Where the fuck is it? Where's Wrists? Or where's the oh yeah, Thunderlord, let's see, Altheos, Daybreak, Light Break, Absolute Ruiner. I'm just kind of going across these as I think about them. Magnestar, for sure. Maybe Authority, kind of. Let's see, where is it? Sedition if you want to run aerial. Suncore for sure. Never Event for the flexibility with the affinity. I want to like this one, but I can't. Slow roll's bad. H Sword for the memes, honestly. Let's see. Legends Blade, definitely. Just because of its high natural affinity, lets you be very flexible with your oils and whatever arts you want to run. Let's see, where else? Deo's Maelstrom, Glinting Glavinoa for sure is one of the better ones. Kurenai Kunpu, Oppressor's Bounty for sure. Let's see what else we got towards the end. Royal Waterclaw. And I think that's about all of your sword and shields, really. Again, thank you to all of my friends who have helped me out with this journey. It's definitely a very, very big pleasure hunting with everybody along the way. Top of my head, we got Joe Kage, we have Leg, we have Whiny Magician, which honestly was definitely one of the biggest contributors to this, since he just seemed to have a lot of free time. And not only that, but he also, if I remember, I had the idea for skipping tickets, as well as just usually being available to help out with a lot of the ticket grinding in general. Let me see. Joe Kage, Hellsworth, Leg, Whiny Magician. If I don't mention you here, it's probably because I just couldn't think of your name at the moment. But regardless, to everybody who helped out, thank you all very, very much. And I highly appreciate your help with helping me get all these sword and shields before I get my copy of Rise, which won't be until later today, hopefully. Alright, and with that, I will see y'all guys later.